One of the most important things is emotional attunement and validation. Depression can make a person feel isolated or unworthy of love. So instead of trying to fix it, start by acknowledging what they're going through. Simple phrases like, I see that you're struggling. I'm here for you. Or, you're not alone in this. You can talk to me when you're ready. These can be powerful to remove the person from a sense of isolation.
Hello and welcome to the Connect to Marriage podcast. I am Eliza and I'm your host for this episode. If you are new to us, do subscribe to our Connect to podcast on your podcast platform to discover interesting topics and helpful conversations. In each episode, we'll be tackling questions that couples ask about marriage, communication, conflict, and so much more. We hope you will keep tuning in to learn with us as you grow closer, deeper, and stronger in your marriage. Depression describes a low mood state that is usually experienced when one suffers loss, failure, disappointment, or hardship. It can affect a person from any social, cultural, or economic background, with onset commonly between 20 to 40 years old. An estimated 5.8% of Singaporeans suffer from depression statistically. While depression can be an overwhelming experience, not just for the person suffering, but also for their loved ones, in today's episode, we'll explore how to navigate caring for one's spouse with depression while keeping ourselves afloat. To shed light on this important issue, we have on our podcast today Eliza Gan, Associate Counsellor with Focus on the Family Singapore. Welcome to the Connect to podcast, Eliza.
Thank you for having me.
Could you share with us a bit about yourself and your family?
Sure. I've been a professional counselor for 15 years now. I work with both individuals and marriage couples. For me, I believe in the profound benefits of lifelong love. And love is resilience, and that's when, even with setbacks, marriage can still be strong and fulfilling. It's possible. On a personal note, I've been married for 34 years to a wonderful and steadfast husband. We have 2 grown-up loving sons and a recent addition of a kind-hearted, thoughtful, and a wonderful daughter-in-law. I feel so blessed for what I have, and I'm particularly grateful, incredibly grateful for the work that I still get to do with individuals and couple, and to be able to share what I have been trained to do. It's great that we have this conversation together on this very important topic. This topic matters because depression isn't just something an individual experiences. It affects the entire marriage and family dynamic. When one partner is struggling with depression, it can create emotional distance, increase misunderstandings, and even lead to conflict. But the good news is that couples don't have to face it alone, and there are always ways we find to support each other while strengthening the relationship. We know that emotional connection and a sense of security are the foundations of healthy marriage. When depression enters the picture, those foundations can be shaken. But research is also very clear that the support that a spouse gives can make a huge difference in recovery. A strong, positive support from a spouse can actually help ease depressive symptoms, while a lack of support or added stress in the relationship can make things worse. At the same time, it's important to recognize that being the supportive spouse isn't always easy. One can experience burnout, exhaustion, and even their own feelings of sadness can be overwhelming. That's why this conversation isn't just about how to help a spouse with depression. It's also about making sure that the supporting partner is cared for too. By having this discussion, we hope couples can pick up some strategies to face depression together. Instead of feeling isolated or stuck, they can find ways to stay connected, build resilience, and come out stronger on the other side.
Thank you for starting us on this note, Eliza. Now, we know that depression is more than just a feeling of sadness, right? It can be a very real clinical condition. Can you help us understand how depression affects not just the person experiencing it, but also their spouse and the marriage that they share?
You're right. Depression is much more than just a sad feeling. It affects not only emotions, but also thoughts, behavior, and even physical health. And because marriage is built on emotional connection and shared responsibilities, depression doesn't just affect the person experiencing it, it impacts the whole relationship. So one of the biggest challenges is emotional disconnection. While many factors contribute to strong marriage, emotional attunement, the ability to turn towards each other's bids for connection, are foundational. However, depression can make this difficult, causing a person to withdraw, sometimes become irritable, or struggle to express love and appreciation, both verbally and physically. As a result, Their spouse may feel lonely in the marriage, sometimes rejected, and worse still, sometimes even question the very meaning of marriage. Another major impact is communication breakdown. Depression always brings negative thought patterns, where a person sees themselves, the world, and their future in a very negative light. This can make even neutral conversations feel like criticisms or rejection, leading to more conflict. It also complicates everyday decision-making, as a spouse may hesitate to initiate discussions, unsure whether their partner will respond, withdraw, or react with frustration. And this uncertainty can create a lot of emotional tension, and over time, widen the gap between them. So when we recognize that communication in marriage is more than just handling tasks and logistics, right? It's not transactional. It also is about expressing love, care, and connection. It becomes clear how deeply depression can disrupt the relationship. Instead of a mutual exchange of support and affection, communication can start to feel one-sided, leaving the non-depressed spouse feeling emotionally lonely. And then there's also the added stress. Studies tell us that in marriage, depression can put strain on finances, create role imbalances, and even impact intimacy. If the depressed spouse struggles to maintain their job or loses motivation to manage financial obligations like paying bills or budgeting or even just making plans on a day-to-day basis, the burden often falls entirely on the other partner. And this shift can lead to financial anxiety, especially if the household relies on two incomes. So role imbalances can also extend beyond finances. The non-depressed spouse may find that they're taking on additional household duties, managing childcare, and making daily decisions while all juggling with their own job, which may come with its own stresses too. Their work is demanding. The pressure from handling both professional and personal responsibility can become really overwhelming for the supporting spouse. So over time, this uneven dynamic can leave them feeling drained, unappreciated, or even resentful, make it harder to maintain a sense of partnership in the marriage. We can't forget the risk of caregiver burnout. Again, we know that when a spouse is struggling, right, the other is at a higher risk of experiencing depressive symptoms, and the research shows us so. Constant exposure to a partner's distress can lead to emotional exhaustion as feelings of helplessness, disappointment, and discouragement build over time. Without proper support, the supporting spouse may begin to feel drained, withdrawn, or even struggle with their own mental well-being, making it even harder to sustain a healthy, connected relationship. But here's the hopeful part. Studies also show that couples who learn how to navigate depression together can actually strengthen their bond. So based on the well-known theory of attachment, we know that when couples maintain emotional closeness, learn to support each other in a secure way, they can buffer against the worst effects of depression. A responsive, supportive spouse can be a stabilizing force, helping their partner to heal while also protecting the marriage from long-term damage. That's why it's so important to approach depression as something that the couple faces together, not just something that one person goes through alone.
Thanks so much, Eliza, for sharing with us the implications of depression and more importantly, the hope that's possible when the couple faces it together. Let's move into discovering what are some effective ways to support a spouse who may be experiencing depression. Can you take us through that?
A lifetime of love and romance requires intentional effort and attention. Yet in times of busyness and with overwhelming priorities to tend to, our marriages can often take a back seat. No matter the state of your relationship today, we want to help you and your spouse thrive. Check out Connect 2, featuring specially created experiences and resources, our favorite selection of articles, top hits on our podcast, date ideas, conversation starters, and more to address the issues that are keeping you and your spouse apart, and to help you rekindle the joy of pursuing one another. Visit www.family.org.sg/connect2 today.
Supporting a spouse through depression isn't about finding a quick fix. It's about showing up with empathy, practical support. Having good self-awareness to recognize your own emotional limits is important as well. One of the most important things is emotional attunement and validation. Depression can make a person feel isolated or unworthy of love. So instead of trying to fix it, start by acknowledging what they're going through. Simple phrases like, I see that you're struggling. I'm here for you. Or, you're not alone in this. You can talk to me when you're ready. This can be powerful to remove the person from a sense of isolation. When partners turn toward each other emotionally by extending understanding and an unconditional positive regard, not trying to solve the problem for the partner, it helps strengthen the bond even in tough times.
I really like that part about the spouse being proactive to convey what we sense that we can see as a way to validate what the struggling spouse might be going through.
I think in our approach towards that, we must always remember the importance of being able to strengthen the bond and create a sense of safety so that we get a response from our partner that's going to be able to lead the person towards healing. And that's important, right? So something like even a gentle encouragement. Depression always drains emotion. So instead of pushing the spouse to take action like, you need to step out of this, we need to offer small, manageable steps. Suggesting small actions like asking, would you like to go for a walk together? Instead of saying, you need to get out more. Suggesting small actions like asking, would you like to go for a walk together? Makes the invitation feel supportive. So be creative in finding ways to engage them. Start with activities your spouse wants to enjoy and gently encourage participation by taking part in it yourself. This approach will foster connection while reducing the pressure of a sense of inadequacy that they might feel.
It's wonderful to hear that, Eliza. I think I need to go back and affirm my spouse because I received, shall we take a walk together just yesterday? Right, now we know that loving and supporting our spouse with depression is not the easiest thing. What are some practical ways you would suggest, Eliza, to help our partner move in that direction without experiencing that they need to sacrifice or compromise their sense of well-being?
When it comes to depression, we tend to make conclusions ourselves or even self-diagnose. I think that may not always be helpful. So a very important practical step is really to seek professional help, because you know that when depression is more than just temporary low mood, it becomes a medical condition. Proper assessment and clear intervention is essential. As a spouse, you can support this process by gently encouraging therapy, assisting to find a qualified therapist, and even participating in the sessions when appropriate. This not only helps your partner feel supported, but also allows you to gain expert insights on the condition and how to provide effective support. Reminding your spouse that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness, but a proactive step towards healing can make a huge, meaningful difference.
What's a healthy mindset, Eliza, if we're supporting our spouse through depression that we can take?
Very often as a supporting spouse, we get very anxious, right? And we just want to solve the problem. And so we end up having that fixer mentality. We want to fix it. We want to find different ways. And in the process, we become impatient. Even as we make very good suggestion to our spouse, it will not, because of the state they're in, they may not be open or be responsive or accepting the way we want it to. So we need a lot of patience, because it's a process, right? We need to be able to reinforce hope and be patient, as I mentioned. Depression distorts a person's sense of time and progress, make it feel endless and overwhelming. And in the same way, it distorts the supporting spouse sense of time and progress as well. We want to solve it so that we can quickly move on with life and do the things that we normally do. When the spouse is struggling to see improvement, even when it's really happening, sometimes we can't see it. So we need to kind of slow down, and even simple but consistent reassurances like, this is tough, but we will get through this together. It is a statement not just for your spouse who's struggling with depression. I think when we make that kind of statement, we're also reminding ourselves, I need to be more patient. This is tough, but we will get through this together. And that can anchor the relationship in hope and stability. Just small moments of connection, even on difficult days, reinforce the message that we're in this together and we will get through this.
Thank you for reminding our listeners about the very important virtue and value of patience and perseverance. Now, in each podcast, we address a frequently asked question that couples have about marriage. So today's question is from a wife, and it goes like this. I suspect my husband has depression. He often has mood swings due to his work stresses, and lately he's also having trouble sleeping. When I suggested this to him, he gets defensive and shuts down the conversation. How can I encourage him to seek professional help without seeming pushy?
Well, yeah, this is a challenging and common situation, and it's completely understandable to feel frustrated and even helpless when your husband resists the idea of seeking help. And many people struggle to acknowledge their own mental health difficulties, even when stress and sleep issues become part of their daily routine. The key to encouraging him without seemingly being pushy lies in timing, approach, and patience, helping him to feel supported rather than pressured. And having said all that, I think this also applies to, in a situation when in the reverse, where your wife is the one who's, experiencing depression. And these pointers are also helpful. So just remember that when we approach our spouse, we don't want to be pushy. We must be mindful of timing, how we approach our spouse, and be patient with the process. So let me share these 3 aspects. First, lead with understanding, not with a diagnosis, as I mentioned earlier. We don't want to go in with the fixer mindset. Instead of saying, I think you have depression, which might feel like a label and trigger defensiveness, focus on his experience. Try something like that instead. I've noticed that you've been really stressed and not sleeping well. That must be really exhausting for you. So in this case, you're not only sharing your observations, you're validating his experience. Another example, I care about you and want to help. Is there anything I can do to support you? So by framing it in this way, you're actually creating a space for conversation instead of resistance. And this is key in terms of safe bonds in healthy marriage relationship. Another point is being able to normalize the idea of seeking help. Many people hesitate to see therapists because of the stigma or the belief that I should be able to handle this on my own. It's better to reframe therapy as a resource rather than a last resort. So you might say something like, you don't have to go through this alone. A lot of people talk to someone for support when they're feeling overwhelmed. Talking to a professional doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It's like having a coach to help navigate stress. So then there's a factor of timing. Research shows that difficult conversations are more productive when emotions aren't running high. If he's already feeling overwhelmed, he's less likely to be receptive to the idea.
Thank you so much, Eliza, for spending your time here with us today and sharing so many helpful insights to help us understand how to better support our spouse in the event of depression. Now, before you go, could you share any parting words of advice that you may have for our listeners?
I like to bring up the idea of autonomy because I think this is important. It basically means that we need to respect your partner's autonomy when it comes to getting help. But at the same time, we need to stay engaged because we know that people are more likely to seek help when you feel more in control of the decision. If your partner is resistant, forcing the issue could backfire. But that doesn't mean that you have to drop it altogether. Keep the door open, maybe statements like, I understand you're not ready for it now. It's okay. Just know that I'm here whenever you want to talk. I love you. I want us to feel supported. If you ever want to explore options, I'm happy to do this with you. So even if your spouse doesn't respond right away, what you're trying to do is plant a seed. Over time, with patience, empathy, and gentle encouragement, you will increase the chances that he will consider seeking help when he's ready.
Thanks, Eliza, once again. Now, in each podcast, we end off with a couple challenge for our couples to do and to share with each other. So if you are listening to this with your spouse, here's your challenge for the week. Share one emotion that you felt during this week, whether it was a positive one or a negative emotion, and find opportunity to share with one another what caused you to feel this way. Remember, as we have heard, keep the door open. That's all we have for now. We hope you have found today's episode helpful. Do share this podcast with a friend who might also benefit from it. In our next episode, we will invite Eliza back again to this podcast. She will be sharing practical tips and tools on how we can care for ourselves, even as we support our spouse who's going through depression. For more marriage resources, check out our latest articles by visiting family.org.sg. You can also interact with us on Facebook and Instagram. That's all we have for today. Don't forget to take care of yourself and your spouse.